Good morning. Thank you for joining me for this edition of Status Hearing, where we're deliberately awakening, engaging the mind, planning to begin to speed up the activity and so forth, but also deliberately adopting an attitude of knowing that we'll do our best, trying to let go of stress and to just face each challenge today as it comes. We'll begin today in an upright position. I'm going to have you bring your right shin in front of your body, your left shin to the side of your body, so that if you look at your thighs, you want roughly 90 degrees between the right thigh and the left thigh. Use your left hand to hold on to your left shin. And from here, we're just going to gently tuck the neck over to the left. As we do that, hand is going to face forward and I'm going to gently press my right shoulder toward the floor. So I'm holding this position now and inhaling. Inhaling, feeling my belly expand. Exhaling, feeling myself pull my navel toward my spine. Now, as I hold the position, I can begin to feel a little bit of resistance. Maybe my shoulders getting a little tired from pressing into my hands. Maybe my neck is getting a little tired. If my shoulder's getting a little tired, I'm going to turn to my rear lateral line. From my right shoulder, send it down to my right hip joint and really help to support my ability to sit up tall. How am I doing that? Well, I'm sending energy down my back to stabilize so that my front can lift up. So inhale, exhale, pull the navel to the spine, send energy down the rear lateral lines. By the same token, I'm sending energy down the front medial lines. Again, if I can press down and support the midline of my body in the front, I can extend through my spine. So one more deep breath in and exhale. Pull the navel back firmly and feel how that helps you stretch through the pelvic girdle. That's the whole bone that comprises the entire pelvis. So let's reach with the right hand over to the right ankle, and I'm just going to gently twist over to the side, over to the left. So again, using my rear lateral lines so that I can sit down and stabilize, so that I can lift up through the front sides of my body, I'm going to rotate in the other direction. So that last position that we held was a tilt through the neck. This position is a rotation. Go back to your rear lateral lines and really establish your shoulders pulling away from your ears. Each time you exhale, the shoulders pull away from the ears, the sits bones pull toward the floor. And you might even want to increase this twist a little bit. Bring that left hand behind if that feels appropriate. Wherever you end up with your twist, make sure that you're pulling down with those rear lateral lines. One last time in. As we exhale, we'll gently release. We're going to switch to the opposite side now. So now both hands are coming over to the right, and I'm going to push into that left arch, left inner edge of my foot. That's going to give me some stability. It's going to help me stabilize through the back of the thigh, and it's going to help me stretch through the front of the thigh. Same token with the right thigh, the rear lateral lines going down to the outer edge of the heel, Exhale, send them down. Inhale, twist through the waist as you fill the belly. Exhale, pull the navel to the spine as you send the rear lateral lines down. So inhale, fill. Exhale, send the lines down. Last time in. As we exhale, we'll unwind. Last modification here is to come forward here. Now, this one is really going to challenge the outer thigh in front. So again, it may be really counterintuitive, but you want to connect with the outside of the hip bone in the back of the body and send it down to the outer edge of the heel. Send it down, and you can start from the back of that shoulder. Now, you can do that from both sides, but it's really going to be important here to do that on the right side, or this is going to just be excruciating, and you're going to feel like, well, what am I supposed to be doing? I can't even bend forward. The way that you're going to bend forward is by bearing down with that rear lateral line and pushing into the outer edge of that foot. So inhale, fill, exhale, effort. Engage the abdominals. One last time. Exhale, pull the navel toward the spine. And inhale and release. We'll switch sides. So we're switching sides, trying to find a roughly 90-degree angle between the thighs and flexing the feet, a rough 90-degree angle at the knees. Doesn't have to be perfect. I'm going to reach my left hand for my left shin and use that to help me sit up a little more tall, a little taller. And then use my left hand to prop myself into an upright position. And from here, right now, just take a few breaths. Inhale. As you exhale, draw the energy down from your shoulders into your outer hips. And then on your next exhalation, we're going to tilt that head over to the right. Now, if we tilt the head over to the right, again, maybe counterintuitive, but you really need to focus on the left shoulder. The left shoulder needs to be pushing down because we're tilting the head away. Remember, we need a fixed point when we stretch. That fixed point is going to be our downward effort. The stretch is going to be from the shoulder up to the crown of the head through the back lateral edge of the neck. So we're going to fix the back lateral line from the shoulder down. Fix that to the floor. We're going to relax the area above the shoulder so that it can stretch. So as I inhale, that's where I'm feeling the stretch. As I exhale, I'm stabilizing. And that's pretty much a rule of thumb. Inhale, stretch. Exhale, stabilize in the opposite direction. One more inhale. And as I exhale, I'll bring my head to an upright position. From here, I'm going to take that right hand to the left knee, rotate around. Wait a minute, I'm sorry. I feel like I'm backward. Yes, I was. And take my left hand to my right shin and rotate it around in the opposite direction, rotating my head. And again, turning my attention to those rear lateral lines, because when I rotate like this, I'm going to feel like, oh, geez, that's really hard. I'm putting all my weight on one hip. We want to bear down evenly. So it's going to be harder to bear down with the right hip. See if you can make an even effort. And what's going to help you here is focusing on those front medial lines, because we can anchor the pubic bones down to the floor, and that too will help us anchor the back lateral lines and twist while holding the body in an upright position. So inhale, fill. Exhale, pull the navel toward the spine. On your next inhalation, we'll gently release. Come back to center. We'll flip around to the opposite side now. So now I'm going to hold my hand to the floor, use my right hand to press against my shin. And here's where I'm going to start to focus on the inner edge of my foot so that I can twist. Again, really having to work those rear lateral lines and working those front medial lines to help out with those rear lateral lines. So the rear lateral and the front medial are all directing down. I'm lifting with my spine, and I might as well tell you the surprise that I'm lifting with the fronts of my shoulders. So the backs of my shoulders are bearing down, the fronts of my shoulders are coming up. It's confusing and it's a lot to think about. I will repeat this over and over and hundreds of times, and I probably already have. But once you start to think about it, it makes sense, it's logical, and it, I feel, gives you something to focus on when you're doing really anything. Standing, walking, yoga postures, running, washing your dishes, sitting at your desk at school, whatever. So gently rotate the neck. And remember here, again, the rear lateral lines are driving down from the shoulders to the feet. This upper portion from the neck along the back of the head, that's what's stretching. So inhale, fill. Exhale, ground. Inhale, stretch. Exhale, ground. One last time in. And as we exhale, we'll come back to center. And let's go ahead and lean forward again. Last variation, really pushing into the outside line of the left leg, rear lateral, and the front medial in the right leg. So exhale, grounding through the outer left leg, inner right thigh. Inhale, stretching. And what am I stretching? Well, in fact, I'm sending my spine away from the floor. I'm sending my shoulders, the fronts of my shoulders, away from the floor. So I'm stretching in one direction and holding the opposite muscles steady and grounded so I can pull away from something. Last two. Inhale, exhale, ground. One more. Inhale and exhale, ground. So we'll come back to center here. Gently cross the legs. So I'm going to bring my right leg to the outside. I'm going to actively flex my feet. Sitting nice and tall here. Oops. Sitting nice and tall. Now, you'll notice my feet are not directly underneath my knees. My hips are really tight today. And as I always say, I'm not demonstrating anything to you. I'm kind of talking you through this, but I'm needing it every bit as much as you are. So I can't demonstrate the perfect flexibility by any means. I'm pushing out through the soles of my feet. Pushing out through the soles of my feet. As I inhale, I lengthen the spine. As I exhale, I ground down through the rear lateral lines and the front medial line. And as I exhale, I'm pushing into the bottoms of my feet. Notice if you exhale and emphasize the front medial lines, and push a little more firmly through the ball of your big toe. Push a little more firmly through the outer heel. And notice how that helps you. Just notice how it feels different, how it helps you engage your ankles. See if you can begin to lean forward now. Now, as I lean forward, again, what is stretching? Well, what's stretching is my spine. The muscles along the sides of my spine, they're reaching up and away from the floor. So let's just go to the back of the body now. Inhale, lengthen from the tailbone up along the sides of the spine. Exhale, ground, and you can even start this at the head. You can start this at the corners of the rear of the head, send it all the way down the rear lateral lines. So inhale, lengthen up through the rear medial lines. Exhale, ground down through the rear lateral lines. Now we're going to hold this for a little while, because we might as well start thinking about the front of the body too. As we exhale, we're grounding down through the front medial lines, but of course we have front lateral lines too. And those front lateral lines are extending up. I honestly, truly believe that there is a deep, deep connection between the mind and the body. And when we get anxious or moody or carried away with our feelings, and we don't want to feel the feelings, we tend to go into our heads. And I believe that prevents us from grounding ourselves. We're spending so much time in our heads that we forget that we need to ground ourselves. So those downward lines of energy, we begin to lose track of them. And how can we really extend upward and stand tall? I mean, for every force, we need an equal and opposing force. So how can we extend upward if there's nothing extending downward? But if I kind of lose track of that, or I lose my grounding, then it's hard to ground down. And then I can't ground up. And that opens me up to a whole host of problems. So let's take 2 more breaths. As we inhale, we lengthen and extend. As we exhale, we draw the energy down and ground. One last time, in, exhale, and release. So we're just going to switch sides here. It's a lot to think about. It's a lot to think about. But we're all pretty intelligent here relative to the animal kingdom in general. And it's a lot to think about, but our brains enable us with a very large capacity to think. So it's not beyond your capability. It may be beyond the effort you want to expend. But you can certainly do it. You can certainly try it. You're capable. And I have begun to think that the complexity of it, for me, is what has been so helpful for me. So let's go back to our lines, the front medial, the rear lateral, and we're sending the energy down both sets of lines. As we inhale, we're sending energy up the rear medial line and the 4 lateral lines, F-O-R-E, 4, forward lateral lines. So we send energy up, and it's almost like we send it up as high as we can, all the way to the top of our head. So here are our I guess our front laterals and our rear medials. And then we send it back down, our front medial and rear laterals. Inhale, lengthening up. Exhale, grounding down. So as you inhale, you can even think about extending up from the fronts of the outsides of the thighs to the outsides of the hips, and send those hips backward. As you exhale, you can send the rear lateral lines of the thighs forward. You're almost making a circle here with your breath, or making a circle in any part of your body that you want to, in any part of your body that feels tight, feels like it's resisting, feels like it's giving you some pain. So right now for me, I'm feeling tightness in my right psoas. So I can think about drawing down and then drawing up through the front lateral line, drawing down through the front medial, up through the front lateral. And that helps me stretch out my psoas. I can also send that line down the front and up the back. So just a small circle from my collarbone to my pubic bone, back to my right tailbone, and then up to the inside of my right shoulder blade, and back around again. Inhale, fill. Exhale, ground. We're going to go through a couple more just very general stretches here just to warm up the body a little bit further. Sit up nice and tall. As we inhale, lengthen up through the front laterals and the rear medials. As we exhale, ground down. And think about running this circle from your waist to your shoulders. So just sitting up here, just holding the body in an upright position and squaring off the shoulders is pretty challenging. If you're holding your shoulders back over your hips, that takes a lot of strength in the abdominals. So how am I going to do that? I could tense my muscles. I go, hold your core in, hold your core. Think about it a little differently. Think about extending up and grounding down. Extending up and grounding down. Yeah, but I'm still tired. What about here? Extend down and ground up. But you have a lot going on there. There's no reason to just I mean, this doesn't have to be boring at all. You've got a lot to think about. And frankly, that is what I find helpful about the practice. I can sink into my body and I can check into what's happening in my body. I can investigate pain in my body. I can investigate resistance. I can investigate something that doesn't feel quite right. And all of that requires me to be present to whatever it is I'm experiencing right now. If you've read any of the research regarding mindfulness and its benefit on mental health, its benefit is the fact that you're present. The practice is teaching you to be present so that you're not running off into the future where you have no control, or sliding back into the past where you also have no control. What we have right now is in front of us, and that's what we focus on. And it's not easy to focus on emotional challenges, mental challenges. Most of us, if we get ourselves into a big enough pickle mentally and emotionally, it's not only not easy, it's darn near impossible sometimes. And that's where this practice helps too. It's a physical practice. It starts physical. Can I find sensations in my body? Yeah, I can do that. Is that threatening? Yeah, I can find something that isn't threatening. Can I build on that? Let's go ahead and come down onto the floor, onto your back for final Shavasana. Allow everything to just sink to the floor. Check in with your body and see what you feel. I'm feeling that tightness in my right psoas, barking a little bit. My hip flexors from just sitting upright for as long as we did. My abdominals, feeling some heat there. So find a sensation that you can connect with. And just focus. Focus on the body sensation. I also am finding some pain in my right knee. I'm going to focus on that pain. And I'm just investigating it. Gosh, where does it start? Does it branch out? And I'm just paying attention to sensations that are coming from one area of the body. I don't have to do anything about it. And in fact, I don't even know what I would do about it. I don't know how to fix it. I don't know why I think about it. But as I investigate it, I feel it. feel its connection to other things in my body. Or I feel the focus of my attention moving to something else altogether. Because maybe I don't feel that need so much, and in fact, I don't. And why did it go away? I don't know. But I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to pay attention to whatever it is I notice. I'm going to pay attention to what's right here, right now. To what is capable of being perceived. What is capable of being perceived. So the reason behind, and maybe it will be there someday. It's not right now. And I will say from experience that frequently the reasons do arise. Spontaneously. There is so much information, so much activity, so much vibrance in the body. And if you can find a way to connect with it, it's so fascinating. Again, perhaps sounds counterintuitive, but there's every bit as much going on inside as there is outside. And when you find it, it's exciting and fulfilling. And I hope you'll continue to try. We'll bring ourselves back from Shavasana in whatever way feels comfortable. Whenever you're ready, roll to one side, allow some blood to move away from your back to pull into your head, and then bring yourself back to an upright position. Thank you, as always, for joining me today. I will not be able to host the class tomorrow, April 27th. That is a Saturday. I will be back on Monday. Thanks for joining me. Have a wonderful day. Namaste.